let's talk a little bit about integers and absolute value, because things are always better when we focus on the positive things in life. What does that have to do with absolute value, you might wonder? We'll get to that. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of the number line. You've seen this before, probably plenty of times. Each integer on the number line has a corresponding integer that is the same distance from 0. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's pick an integer, -4. How far is -4 from 0? Let's count the spaces until we get there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so -4 is a distance of 4 from 0. Its corresponding integer would be the +4. Let's count the spaces just to make sure that we are correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. Indeed, +4 is the same distance from 0, which is 4, as -4 is from 0. Now those are two different integers. -4 and 4 are very different. So they have the same distance but different integers. They are called opposites. So -4 and 4 are opposites, but they are both the same distance from 0. So when we talk about the distance from 0 of an integer on the number line, we are talking about absolute value. Absolute value is strictly a distance, and it is always positive. Okay, it doesn't matter what the number is. We are simply talking from 0 to get to that number. It's just a positive distance. So how do we find absolute value? Well, we have this little thing called a positive machine, and you throw a number in there, positive or negative, doesn't matter, you throw it in there, it comes out positive. Well, that seems kind of weird. You've never seen a positive machine, I don't think. But there's something called parallel bars, which is how we know that we're talking about absolute value. Now, these parallel bars are not to be confused with this kind of thing, which is a curly brace, or square brackets. They are not brackets. They are two straight up and down lines, and they tell you to use or find the absolute value. All right, so let's actually see what some numbers look like. I have a number here that's inside the parallel bars. Okay, so the parallel bars are our positive machine. So inside these parallel bars is this number, 35. When it comes out, it's going to be positive. Well, that makes sense. It was 35, but if we think about it with our number line, 35 is a distance of 35 spaces from 0. Well, how about 1,067? That's an awfully large number. How do we find the absolute value of that? Doesn't matter the size, it's the same. It's 1,067. I'm running out of room there. Okay, so those are kind of easy, right? They're already positive, they're the same number. Now here's where the absolute value is very noticeable. -105. How far is -105 from 0? How many spaces? Well, it is only 105 spaces away from 0. And so you notice that the -105 has become positive. -849, again, it's kind of a large number. Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. This negative goes in between the parallel bars. When you find the absolute value, is simply the positive value. Because remember, we're talking about distance from 0. That's what absolute value is. Okay, how about these ones? My students always used to make fun of me for saying these ones, and so I say it all the time. It's my thing. Okay, so +9 is in between the parallel bars, and we want, that tells us right away, ding, 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 use absolute value. So find the absolute value of 9. Well, we know that is simply 9 because it's just whatever's inside is positive. So -9 in between parallel bars, if we find the absolute value, it's going to be 9. Just like when we found the 4 and -4, they were both the same distance from 0. It's the same with 9 and -9. Now, why do I have these guys on the bottom? Well, this is, it's one of those things that students will see and sometimes they'll get kind of tripped up on it. If this negative sign is not inside the parallel bars, it is not affected by the absolute value. You cannot find the absolute value of anything outside of these parallel bars. So you have to keep it. You go ahead and find the absolute value of what's inside, which is going to be 9. But this negative here, it stays where it is. And we're going to have lots of practice with negative numbers, so don't you worry. Okay, so here we have a negative outside and a negative inside. Well, you still have to leave the negative outside alone. Now we know absolute value means positive, but this negative, this very first negative right here, is outside. So we're just going to transfer him over here. Now we take what is actually inside the parallel bars, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to find the absolute value, which, as we found up here, is 9. So don't forget to think about what's going on here. If it's inside its absolute value, go ahead and make a positive. But if it's outside, you got to leave it alone. And that's our lesson on absolute value.